AITA for confronting my wife when her mom showed up with a key to our new house. I'm Timothy, 43, and for most of my marriage, I tried to be the guy who kept things easy. I was the husband who said, "Sure, we can help," the younger brother who told Graham not to make a big deal out of things, and the son-in-law who bit his tongue at Sunday dinner because one argument could ruin everyone's mood. The week this all blew up, I still had moving boxes in my hallway, a roll of painter's tape in my cup holder, and a wife who kept telling me her family was just excited for us. Erin and I had been married long enough for our arguments to have patterns. She would say her family was only trying to help. I would say I understood. Her mother, Beverly, would push a little past what I was comfortable with, then cry if I pushed back. Her younger brother, Kyle, would need something temporary, and temporary always lasted until someone else got tired enough to make it permanent. Graham, my older brother, saw through it faster than I did. He was 47, blunt, practical, and allergic to family nonsense. He loved me, but he showed it by tightening loose stair rails, changing oil, replacing dead batteries, and standing in my driveway with a toolbox before I even asked. Erin thought Graham judged her family. Graham thought her family treated boundaries like a buffet. I spent years in the middle, translating everyone into softer language. "He doesn't mean it like that," I would tell Erin after Graham said something too directly. "She's just emotional," I would tell Graham after Beverly crossed a line and called it love. By the time we got the new house, that habit was so automatic I barely noticed myself doing it. The house had taken a lot out of us before we ever slept there. Closing papers were still in a folder on the old kitchen counter. Boxes labeled kitchen, bedroom, hall closet, and who knows were stacked against the walls. Erin and I were excited but exhausted in that dry-eyed, short-tempered way people get when every conversation includes a date, a receipt, or a missing roll of packing tape. Every little decision became after we move. We'll figure out curtains after we move. We'll call someone about the loose railing after we move. We'll decide who gets spare keys after we move. Looking back, after we move was where Erin hid half the things she did not want to discuss. Graham offered to go to the house a few days before moving day. He said he could sweep out the garage, check the basement door, tighten the railing near the stairs, replace the sticky lock on the back door, and make sure the garage keypad worked. He didn't make a big production out of it. He just texted me a list. Backlock plate is bad. Basement door sticks. Garage needs sweep. Railing loose. I can handle it Thursday. I showed Erin the text while we were eating takeout on the floor because our dining table was already wrapped in moving blankets. "That's nice of him," I said. "One less thing." Erin stopped chewing. "Why does Graham need to be there alone?" I laughed because I honestly thought she was joking. Because he offered to help. And because I don't want to spend moving day finding out the basement door still doesn't close. She set her fork down. "I just don't want him acting like it's his house." That should have landed harder than it did. Instead, I did what I usually did. I softened it. "He's not acting like it's his house. He's fixing ours." Erin looked away and started pushing noodles around the container. "You always defend him." "I'm defending a free repair day." She didn't smile. At the time, I thought she was being sensitive because Graham had never been warm with her family. I didn't know she had a reason to be nervous about him walking through that house alone. Beverly had already asked for the garage code 2 times before that. The first time was the day after closing. She called while I was at the new house measuring a bedroom window. Erin had stepped outside to take a call, and Beverly's name popped up on my phone. "Timothy, honey," she said, with the careful sweetness she used when she wanted something. "What's the garage code over there? I want to drop off paper plates and bottled water for moving day." I looked around the empty house. There wasn't even soap in the bathroom yet. "We're not giving out the code right now," I said. "We'll be there for moving day." "Oh, I don't want to bother you. I can just slip things in." "No, it's fine. We've got it." She sighed like I had refused a blood transfusion. "Family helps family, Timothy. We're not strangers." "I know, but we're not handing out access before we even live here." She gave a tiny laugh. Not happy. More like she had caught me being ridiculous and was being polite about it. "Well, we'll talk about it later." The second time, she asked Erin in front of me at Sunday dinner. We were all crowded around Beverly's table, passing bowls around while Kyle sat back in his chair scrolling on his phone. Beverly said, "You really should give me the garage code for emergencies." I said, "What emergencies?" She blinked at me. Any emergency. We'll have phones. What if you're unreachable? Graham, who had come that night because I asked him to, muttered, then call 911, not Beverly. Aaron shot him a look. Beverly put a hand on her chest. I'm just trying to help. I didn't realize wanting my daughter to be safe was offensive. And there it was. The little emotional smoke bomb. Suddenly the conversation wasn't about access to our house. It was about whether Beverly loved Aaron. I said, nobody's offended. We'll figure out spare keys after we move. Beverly smiled like I had said yes. Kyle had been orbiting the move too. Kyle was 31 and had a talent for landing softly. He was always between places, between plans, between almost there and just needs a minute. He could make needing a couch sound like bad luck, needing gas money sound like bad timing, and needing storage space sound like you were selfish for having empty square footage. About a month before closing, Aaron asked if Kyle could store a couple boxes at the new house once we got the keys. I was in the hallway, balancing a stack of folded boxes against my hip. Why? I asked. He's clearing out some stuff, she said. From where? She shrugged. His friend's place. It's complicated. With Kyle, it always is. She gave me that tired look she used when she thought I was being unfair. It's just a couple boxes, Tim. We haven't even moved our own stuff in. He's embarrassed to ask. I said I'd talk to you. That part got me. I could picture Kyle embarrassed, even if I had not seen him act embarrassed very often. I didn't want to be cold. I didn't want Erin to feel like I saw her family as a burden. So I softened. A couple small boxes, I said. Only if we both know what they are, and only for a short time. Erin kissed my cheek like the matter was settled. That's all I'm asking. It wasn't. The afternoon before our first big load of furniture was supposed to go over, Graham called me. I was standing in our old hallway, holding a lamp with no shade, trying to remember which box had the light bulbs. Locks are changed, he said. I switched the phone to my other ear. You changed all of them? Front, back, basement. Garage code too. I stopped moving. Why the garage code? There was a pause. Graham's pauses are different from other people's. He is not thinking of a polite answer. He is deciding how much trouble the truth is worth. The old one was stupid, he said finally. 4 numbers, easy pattern. I'll send you the new one. I knew he was leaving something out. Before I could ask, Erin walked into the hallway carrying a box labeled bathroom, though from the rattling it sounded like kitchen utensils. Who is that? She asked. Graham. He finished at the house. Graham said, I'll text you the code. Then he hung up. Erin read my face. What? He changed the locks. Her reaction was immediate. He did what? The back lock was bad. I guess he changed the others too. You let your brother change the locks without asking me? That confused me enough that I almost laughed again, but her face stopped me. Erin, the locks were old. That's a good thing. For us, she snapped. Or for you. Because it sounds like Graham just decided who gets access to our home. Nobody gets access yet. We don't even live there. My mom needs a spare key. Why does Beverly need a key before there's food in the refrigerator? Because she's my mother. That was not an answer. It was a warning. We drove to the house together that evening because Erin said she wanted to see what Graham did. She said it like he had spray painted his name on the front door instead of spending his day fixing things for us. The house looked better than I expected. The garage floor had been swept clean. The old cobwebs in the corners were gone. Leftover paint cans were stacked neatly near the wall, each with a strip of painter's tape labeling the room. The basement door opened smoothly for the first time. The loose railing didn't wobble. In the kitchen, Graham had left a locksmith receipt with the date and itemized changes on the counter, along with a small envelope containing the new keys. The place smelled like sawdust, cleaner, and old air finally being pushed out. For about 10 seconds, I felt grateful. Then Erin walked into the garage and froze. At first, I thought she had seen a leak or a crack in the wall. Then I followed her eyes. Near the side wall sat 6 plastic storage bins and 2 cardboard boxes. They were stacked too neatly to be random. 3 of the bins had Kyle written on blue painter's tape in thick black marker. They were not mine. They were not Erin's. I looked at her. Why is Kyle's stuff here? She rubbed her forehead. It's just a few boxes. 6 bins and 2 boxes is not a few boxes. Don't start. I laughed once, but there was nothing funny in it. Don't start what? Asking why there's stuff in our garage I didn't know about. She lowered her voice. You said he could store some things. I said a couple small boxes if we both knew what they were. He needed more room than he thought. Then you should have asked me again. That was when Graham came up from the basement carrying an old orange extension cord looped over one arm. He saw us standing beside Kyle's bins and stopped. No speech. No smirk. No I told you so. Just stopped. I asked, were these here when you got here? Graham looked at Aaron, then at me. Yes. Aaron snapped. Why didn't you tell us? Graham's eyes narrowed slightly. I thought you knew. I didn't, I said. The words came out quiet, but they changed the air in the garage. Aaron started talking fast. Kyle had nowhere else to put the bins. Beverly had asked her not to make a big thing out of it. The garage was empty anyway. We were lucky to have space. It was temporary. It was family. It was not worth making everyone feel unwelcome before we even moved in. I listened, but my mind was catching on one thing. If it was harmless, why did she look scared? Then she said the line that made my stomach drop. He just needs to get settled for a few weeks. I turned fully toward her. Get settled where? She blinked like I was being difficult on purpose. Tim. Get settled where, Aaron? She crossed her arms. The basement is finished enough. Not forever. Just while he figures things out. The garage felt suddenly too quiet. The hum from the overhead light sounded loud. Somewhere in the house, a pipe clicked. Graham stood near the basement door, still holding that extension cord. I was not yelling. I was not pacing. I was standing in my own garage, looking at another man's name on bins I had never approved, listening to my wife explain that her brother might live in our basement like she was talking about where to put the extra towels. No, I said. Aaron stared. No. No. Kyle is not moving into the basement. You don't even know what I was going to ask. You were not going to ask. That's the problem. Her cheeks flushed. That is not fair. What part? The way you're acting like I'm sneaking around. I looked at the bins. Then at her. She said, he's family. Family still knocks. You sound like Graham. Graham said flatly, leave me out of it. Aaron turned on him. You love this, don't you? You finally get Timothy to act like you. My first instinct, and I hate admitting this, was to tell Graham to stay quiet so Aaron and I could talk. That had been my pattern for years. When Graham said something blunt, I softened it. When Aaron said something unfair, I let it pass. When Beverly pushed too far, I pretended she was just emotional. But this time, Graham had not said anything wrong. I said, don't put this on him. Aaron looked shocked, like I had stepped out of a role she counted on me playing. Before anyone could say anything else, my phone buzzed. Doorbell camera motion. The front door camera showed Beverly standing on the porch with a grocery bag in one hand and a key in the other. Kyle stood behind her with his hands in his hoodie pocket, looking annoyed, not embarrassed. Then I heard it through the house. The scrape of a key going into a lock that no longer fit. Beverly tried it once. Then a second time. Then the knob rattled. Aaron whispered, oh my God. I turned to her. Why does your mom have a key? It was temporary, she said. You gave her a key? When we got access after closing. Just in case. Without telling me. It was temporary. Temporary keys still opened doors. Beverly started knocking hard. Aaron moved toward the front door. I said, wait. She didn't. She opened the door, and Beverly stepped inside like she had been wronged by the building itself. Why are we locked out? Beverly asked, already crying. Not confused. Not embarrassed. Crying. I said, because the locks were changed. Her wet eyes went past me to Graham. Of course they were. Kyle gave a short laugh. Dude's acting like a landlord instead of family. I turned to him. This is my house. Aaron snapped, our house. I looked at her. Then why did everyone else have access to it before I knew? Nobody answered. Beverly clutched the grocery bag like evidence of her good intentions. I could see paper plates through the plastic and a pack of bottled water tucked under her arm. I was only trying to help, she said. I never thought I would be treated like a trespasser by my own son-in-law. You tried to use a key I didn't know you had. Aaron gave it to me. And Aaron should have told me. Beverly's face tightened. Do not blame my daughter because your brother decided to take over. Graham's jaw moved, but he stayed quiet. I asked Beverly one question. Were you planning for Kyle to stay here? The crying changed. It didn't stop, but it shifted. Her mouth pressed into a thin line. Kyle said, it wasn't supposed to be a thing. That was the answer. I looked at Aaron, waiting for her to say something that would make this less awful. She said, we were going to talk about it after moving day. No, I said. You were going to make it harder for me to say no after moving day. Beverly gasped. How can you say that? Because his stuff is already here. Kyle rolled his eyes. It's just boxes. Then take them. The room went still. Kyle looked at Aaron. Beverly looked at Aaron. Aaron looked at me like I had slapped somebody. Tonight, Kyle said. If it's just boxes, yes. Beverly said. He has nowhere to put them. That sounds like something he should have solved before moving them into my garage. Aaron whispered. Timothy, stop. I did stop, but not because she asked. I stopped because I realized I did not want to have the rest of that conversation surrounded by people who had already decided my answer was a problem to manage. I told Beverly and Kyle to leave for the night. Beverly cried harder and said Graham had poisoned me. Kyle called me dramatic. Aaron didn't defend me. Graham didn't speak until they were gone. Then he said, You need to ask your wife what she promised. Aaron turned on him again. Do not talk to my husband like I'm not standing here. Graham looked at me. Ask her. Then he left. The fight Aaron and I had afterward was not loud the whole time. That almost made it worse. Some parts were sharp and quiet. Some parts were both of us talking over each other while the empty rooms threw our voices back at us. She said I humiliated her mother. I said she gave her mother a key behind my back. She said the house belonged to both of us. I said belonging to both of us did not mean belonging to her entire family. She said Kyle needed support. I said support did not require sneaking his sleeping arrangements into our basement. She said, This is exactly what Graham wanted. I said, Graham changed locks after your family used keys I didn't know they had. He's been waiting for a chance to make them look bad. That sentence did something to me. Graham had spent hours fixing our house. He had not yelled. He had not accused. He had not even told me the bins were there before I saw them myself. And somehow, Aaron was still trying to turn him into the villain because that was easier than admitting what she had done. I slept maybe 2 hours that night. Aaron stayed on the far edge of the bed, facing away from me. I lay there staring at the ceiling fan, replaying Graham's pause on the phone. Why did he change the garage code? The next morning, I went back to the house alone. The sky was still gray when I pulled into the driveway. Graham was already there, leaning against his truck with 2 coffees on the hood. He looked tired in the same way he had when we were younger, and our dad would pretend every family disaster was fine as long as no one said it out loud. I got out and said, Tell me what you didn't say yesterday. Graham handed me a coffee. When I got here 3 days ago, the back door wasn't latched right, he said. Broken? No, just not pulled shut. I looked toward the house. The garage code had been used more than once, he said. I thought maybe you or Aaron were dropping things off. We weren't. I figured that out. He walked me inside and down to the basement. The basement was not fancy, but it was finished enough to tempt someone like Kyle. Concrete foundation walls painted white. Cheap carpet. A small storage area behind the stairs. A bathroom that worked even if the sink looked older than I was. Graham moved a folded card table aside. Behind it was a rolled sleeping bag. A cheap pillow still in plastic. A grocery bag with deodorant, razors, toothpaste, a phone charger, and a half-used bottle of body wash. There was also an envelope with Kyle's name written across it. Not junk mail. Not a random package. An envelope addressed to Kyle at the new house. I stared at it longer than I needed to. Graham said, I moved it out where you could see it yesterday, but Aaron went straight to the garage first. My coffee had gone cold in my hand. This wasn't storage, I said. No, this was a soft move-in. Graham nodded once. I didn't want to overstep, he said. I honestly thought maybe you agreed and were too embarrassed to tell me. But then you looked surprised in the garage. Why didn't you call me when you found it? Because I didn't know if your marriage needed me kicking the door open. So I changed the door instead. It would have been funny in any other situation. I asked him why he changed all the locks. He looked around the basement, then back at me. Because somebody already decided the house wasn't really yours. That hit harder than yelling would have. I took photos. Clear ones, not dramatic ones. Kyle's bins. The labels. The sleeping bag. The toiletries. The envelope. The door Graham had fixed. The locksmith receipt on the kitchen counter. I saved the doorbell, still showing Beverly holding the old key. Graham texted me the time he had first entered the house and the date he changed the garage code. Then I went home and asked Aaron to send me every conversation she had with Beverly or Kyle about using the house. She was standing at the counter packing mugs and newspaper. She froze. Why? Because I want to know what was promised in my home without my consent. Our home. Fine. Our home. Send the messages. She folded the newspaper around a mug too tightly. It cracked. I'm not doing this interrogation thing. Then from now on, every conversation about the house is in writing. She looked at me like I had become a stranger. Are you threatening me? No. I'm documenting what everyone keeps trying to pretend is a misunderstanding. That afternoon, my phone started buzzing so much I turned it face down. Family group chat. It was a messy mix of Aaron's relatives, a couple of mine, cousins, older relatives, and people who had no reason to know anything about our locks. Beverly had clearly made calls. Beverly wrote, I never thought my own daughter would be treated like a guest in her own home. Kyle wrote, imagine needing permission to help your own family. An aunt wrote, Timothy, I hope you remember marriage means two families joining. Someone else wrote, Graham should not be making decisions for a married couple. Then Aaron wrote, Timothy is letting Graham turn this move into a power struggle. I stared at that one for a while. Not because I believed it, because she had chosen it. My phone buzzed again, this time a private message from Natalie, Aaron's cousin. Natalie was 45 and one of the few people in that family who could ask a question without turning it into a performance. She wrote, I'm not trying to get in the middle, but Beverly is telling everyone Graham changed the locks to keep Aaron's family away. Is that true? I typed, erased, and typed again. No, and I can prove it. That was the moment I stopped trying to be liked. I did not explode in the group chat. I did not send 50 angry messages. I did not call Beverly and let her cry until I apologized for making her cry. I did something that felt almost ridiculous at first. I made a folder, an actual paper folder. Screenshots on a phone can be waved away as out of context. Printed pages on a table make people slow down. I printed the locksmith receipt with the date and itemized lock changes. I printed photos of Kyle's labeled bins. I printed the sleeping bag, pillow, toiletries, charger, and envelope. I printed the doorbell still of Beverly holding the old key. I transcribed a voicemail Beverly left me after the garage confrontation, where she said, we were supposed to have access before moving weekend, Timothy. Aaron understood that. I printed a screenshot Kyle had sent Aaron that she finally showed me after I refused to let the conversation move on. In it, he called the house our backup plan. The hardest part came from Aaron's phone. She left it on the kitchen counter while she showered. I did not unlock it. I did not dig through it. But the screen lit up with a text preview from Beverly. Don't let Graham win. Tim hates being the bad guy. Once you're moved in, he won't kick Kyle out. I stared at the words until the screen went dark. When Aaron came out in a robe, her hair dripping onto her shoulder, I told her what I had seen. Her face went blank. Show me the thread, I said. No. Then don't call this a misunderstanding again. It was private. So was our house. She tried to grab the phone and walk away. I didn't touch her. I didn't block her. I just said, you can walk away, but you don't get to use Graham as the villain anymore. That was when she started admitting pieces. Not all at once. Not cleanly. First, she said Beverly was dramatic and I knew that. Then she said Kyle was in a worse spot than I understood. Then she said she had only told them maybe. Then she said she had planned to talk to me after we were settled because she knew I'd react badly if the timing was wrong. Finally, she showed me enough of the texts. One from Beverly said, he'll calm down once Kyle is already there. One from Kyle said, I can keep it low-key in the basement till Tim gets used to it. Then there was one from Aaron to Beverly that ended the old version of my marriage. If Tim gets weird about it, I'll tell him Graham is trying to control the house again. He always backs off when he thinks he's being unfair. I read that line 3 times. I did not recognize the husband she was describing until I realized I hated that I did. I was the guy who backed off. I was the guy who apologized first to lower the temperature. I was the guy who let people treat my patience like a door code. I asked Aaron, is that what you think of me? She started crying. That's not what I meant. What did you mean? I meant you care about being fair. No, you meant you knew how to make me doubt myself. She said nothing. I printed that message too. Then I sent one message to the group chat. I'm not discussing this in fragments. Since everyone has been invited to judge Graham and me, I will explain the situation once, in person, with dates and proof. After that, the house rules are not up for debate. Aaron saw it within a minute. You're making this public? She said. I put the folder into a drawer. You made it public when you told everyone Graham was the villain. You're embarrassing me. No, I'm correcting the record. The family dinner had been planned as a casual pre-housewarming meal before the actual barbecue Aaron wanted. By the time we arrived, it felt like walking into a room where the verdict had already been written. Beverly sat near the center of the table with a tissue twisted in her hand. Kyle leaned back like he was bored, but his leg bounced under the table. Aaron stayed close to her mother and would not look at me. Graham came because I asked him to, though he told me in the driveway he could leave if it made things easier. No, I said. I let them blame you once. I'm not doing it again. Inside, the house smelled like roast chicken and garlic bread, which made the whole thing feel stranger. There were plates stacked on the counter. Someone had brought salad. Someone else had brought a pie no one touched. Beverly started before I had even taken off my jacket. I just want to understand when family became trespassers, she said. An older relative nodded. Timothy, nobody is saying you don't have rights. But family shouldn't need permission to help. Kyle muttered, exactly. Graham shifted beside me. I could feel him getting ready to say something that would be true and badly received. I put my hand out slightly, not to silence him, to tell him I had it. I placed the folder on the table. If everyone is going to judge me for protecting my house, I said, then everyone can see why I had to. Aaron whispered, don't. I looked at her. You had chances to tell the truth privately. Then I opened the folder. I started with the locksmith receipt because it was boring. Boring evidence is hard to turn into drama. Date, time, front lock, back lock, basement lock, garage code reset. Graham changed the locks after finding the back door unsecured and the garage code being used, I said. Beverly sniffed. That doesn't prove anything. No, it doesn't prove everything. It proves why he had a concern. Then I placed the doorbell camera still beside it. Beverly on our porch, old key in hand. Kyle behind her. The room got quieter. Beverly's mouth tightened. That was a temporary key. A temporary key I didn't know you had. You're making it sound sinister. Aaron gave it to me. Exactly. Aaron stared at the table. Then I placed the photos of Kyle's bins down. 6 plastic bins. 2 cardboard boxes. His name in thick black marker. Kyle leaned forward. That's nothing. It's storage. Then here are the toiletries, the sleeping bag, the pillow, the charger, and the envelope with your name on it in the basement. I placed those photos down one at a time. No one reached for the salad. Natalie leaned forward, reading the label on one photo. Then she looked at Kyle. Kyle, were you planning to stay there? Kyle looked at Beverly. Beverly looked at Aaron. Aaron looked down. Nobody looked at me. Kyle finally said, it wasn't supposed to be a big thing. Natalie's eyebrows lifted. That sounds like yes. I placed the printed text from Kyle next. Our backup plan. Someone at the far end of the table sighed quietly. Beverly started crying harder. You are humiliating me. No, I said. You are embarrassed because the private plan became public after you publicly lied about my brother. Aaron's head snapped up. You betrayed me by showing private messages. I slid the last printed page onto the table. The one where she wrote that if I got weird about it, she would blame Graham for trying to control the house. You made my brother the scapegoat for a plan I never agreed to, I said. That is the betrayal. The room went silent in a way I had never heard from Aaron's family. No side conversations. No chair creaks. No one jumping in to rescue Beverly from the discomfort. Natalie picked up the page, read it, and looked at Aaron. Did Timothy ever agree to Kyle moving anything in? She asked. Aaron said, it wasn't moving in. Natalie repeated it, slower. Did he agree? Aaron's lips parted, then closed. That answer was loud enough. Graham spoke for the first time all night. I changed the locks because someone had already decided the house wasn't really his. His voice was calm. That made it worse for everyone who wanted him to sound controlling. Kyle pushed his chair back. This is insane over a few boxes. I looked at him. Then you'll have no problem removing them by Saturday at noon. He laughed. Or what? Or I will move them into a storage unit under your name, send you the access information, and follow whatever legal process is required after that. I already wrote it out. Kyle stopped laughing. Beverly said, you would really do that to family? I said, family still needs permission. An older relative who had been loud in the group chat cleared his throat. Okay, that's different from what we were told. Beverly turned on him. I was only trying to help. He didn't answer. That was the first time I saw her lose the room. Not completely, Some people looked uncomfortable. Some stared at their plates like eye contact might make them responsible. One cousin mumbled that this should have stayed private, and I said, it was private until Graham and I were publicly accused. Nobody had much to say after that. I did not ask for a vote. I did not need one. Natalie apologized before she left. I thought Graham was being controlling, she said. I didn't know they were already using the place. I said, that was the point. You weren't supposed to know. On the drive home, Erin cried quietly. For once, I did not rush to fix it. I did not say it was okay. I did not reach over and rub her shoulder. I kept both hands on the wheel and let the silence sit there. After several minutes, she said, you embarrassed me in front of my family. I said, you taught people to blame Graham for your choices. I corrected the record. You could have protected me. I did protect you for years. That's why you thought I would protect the lie too. She turned toward the window. The next morning, I sent a written message to Erin, Beverly, Kyle, and the family group chat. I wrote it slowly because I did not want anger doing the typing for me. No one would receive a key or garage code except Erin and me. No one was allowed to store property, stay overnight, use the basement, use the garage, or treat the house as a backup plan without written agreement from both homeowners. Kyle had until Saturday at noon to remove all items from the property. Future conversations about access to the house needed to be in writing. The housewarming barbecue was canceled. Then I added one more line. Graham did not damage my marriage by changing locks. The damage came from people deciding my answer did not matter. The responses came in fast at first. Beverly sent, this is not how family treats each other. Kyle sent, whatever. A cousin sent a thumbs up and then deleted it. Natalie wrote, understood. Erin did not respond in the chat. In person, she said, you're making rules like I'm a child. I said, I'm making rules because you treated consent like a hurdle. That's harsh. So was finding out your mother had a key and your brother had a sleeping bag in our basement. She had no answer for that. Saturday morning, I got to the house early. The air inside still smelled faintly of cleaner and cardboard. Sunlight came through the bare windows in sharp squares on the floor. I walked through each room and noticed how quiet it was without other people's expectations filling it. Graham arrived with coffee again. You don't have to stay, I said. I know. That wasn't an invitation to leave. He almost smiled. Kyle showed up at 11:34 with a borrowed pickup and a face like he wanted to fight. Beverly sat in the passenger seat, staring straight ahead through the windshield. She did not come inside. Kyle got out and slammed the truck door. Where's Erin? He asked. Not here. Convenient. She didn't put the boxes in your truck. You did. He looked at Graham. You proud of yourself? Graham said, load your stuff. That was it. 3 words. No heat. Kyle muttered under his breath, but he started carrying bins out. I did not help. Graham did not help. We stood in the driveway while Kyle loaded every plastic bin, every cardboard box, the sleeping bag, the pillow, the grocery bag of toiletries, and the envelope with his name on it. At one point, he walked toward the garage keypad out of habit. I said, code changed again. He turned back. You really think you won? No, I said. I think you're leaving. That was enough. He finished at 12:07. 7 minutes late, but gone. Beverly lowered her window when they were about to pull away. I hope you're happy, she said. I looked at the empty garage behind me. I'm not happy, I said. I'm done being ignored. She rolled the window up. Erin came to the house later that afternoon. She stood in the garage entrance and looked at the empty wall where Kyle's bins had been. He really took everything? She asked. Yes. She nodded slowly. For a second, I thought she might say she was relieved. Instead, she said, my mom is devastated. I leaned against the workbench Graham had cleaned off. Erin, your mom is devastated that no one can pretend this was help anymore. She wiped under one eye. You don't understand what it feels like to be torn between people. That almost got me. Because I did know. I had lived there for years. I understand exactly what it feels like, I said. I just stopped letting it be an excuse. Erin apologized to Graham, but not at first and not gracefully. The first version came 2 days after Kyle moved his things out. Graham had stopped by to drop off a drill bit he forgot in the garage. Erin stood in the kitchen doorway, arms folded around herself. I'm sorry you got dragged into this, she said. Graham looked at her. I didn't get dragged in. I got blamed. She flinched. I didn't mean for it to sound like that. It sounded like what it was. Then he handed me the drill bit and left. I did not chase him down to smooth it over. I did not tell Aaron he would get over it. I let the uncomfortable thing stay uncomfortable. That night, Aaron sat beside me on the edge of the bed. "What do you want me to do?" she asked. "Tell the truth where you told the lie." She knew what I meant. The next morning, in the same group chat where she had accused him, Aaron wrote, "Graham did not tell Timothy what to do. I was wrong to say he was controlling the house. Timothy did not agree to Kyle using the basement, and I should not have let anyone think he did. It was not poetic. It was not warm. It was the minimum truth. But sometimes, the minimum truth is still a door opening." Some relatives reacted with hearts. Some stayed silent. Beverly did not respond at all. Kyle left the group chat, which was the closest thing to accountability I expected from him. Aaron and I started counseling because I told her I would not keep building a life on hidden promises. I also told her that if she gave anyone access to the house behind my back again, I would talk to someone about protecting my property and my future. She said that sounded cold. I said, what was cold was planning to move your brother into our basement, then using my brother as the villain when I noticed. She cried, but she did not argue. Counseling did not turn everything into a clean apology montage. Aaron still got defensive when Beverly called crying. She still said, family, sometimes like the word itself should end the conversation. But now when she said it, I did not automatically shrink. I would say, be specific. Family needs what? For how long? Who agreed? What happens if the answer is no? Those questions changed more than any speech could. Beverly lost her favorite weapon for a while. Every time she said, family helps family, someone remembered the folder. Not everyone said it out loud, but I could feel it. The line did not land the way it used to. Kyle found somewhere else to stay because, shockingly, people become resourceful when your basement is no longer their backup plan. We moved in 2 weeks later than planned. The delay annoyed me at first, but it gave the house time to become ours instead of a battlefield. I changed the garage code again after the movers left. Aaron watched me do it and did not ask who else would get it. No one, I said anyway. She nodded. A few weeks after that, I held a smaller dinner at the house. Not the big housewarming barbecue Aaron had wanted. No open invitation. No just stop by. No spare keys in a ceramic dish by the door. Just Graham, Natalie, a couple relatives who had apologized without making it about themselves, and enough food for the people actually invited. The evening felt strange at first because nothing dramatic happened. Natalie brought dessert. Graham checked the cabinet under the sink because he heard a drip that turned out to be nothing. Someone helped Aaron clear plates. Nobody asked for the garage code. Nobody wandered downstairs to see how much space we had. After dinner, Graham noticed a loose cabinet handle and fixed it without saying anything. That was Graham. No big emotional speech. No demand for gratitude. Just a screwdriver turning quietly while everyone else talked in the next room. I handed him a beer and said, "Thanks for changing the locks." He took the bottle and looked toward the garage door. "Thanks for finally letting them stay changed." That stuck with me. For years, I thought being a good husband meant making every conflict softer. I thought being fair meant giving everyone the benefit of the doubt, even when they kept using it against me. I thought keeping peace meant staying quiet. I was wrong. That house did not break my family. It just showed me who thought my silence came with a spare key. If you like the stories, don't forget to leave a comment and support the channel by subscribing. See you in the upcoming stories.